walk in the back of this shabby little rundown, venue and jump on stage and finna murder something real quick. It's like, yo, this dude's crazy. You know who else? Layla will pull up. That I've had that similar experience too was Damian Marley. It was like, Damian? Yeah. Like, who's this white dude sitting on the couch? Oh, this James Blake. He's just vibing. Right? And then it's like, yo, like, who's outside? Like, who's outside right now? You walk outside, it's Chief Keef. It's like, oh, okay. So this is so we just yeah, we just like it's like the Justice League of dope ass people. Yeah, he's got it's the people that got them good vibes. They always attract like solid folks. I forgot who else. Chief Keef didn't come into the studio, but I forgot who else came through there. I think Aloe Black just like walked in. It's just kind of like, there's enough to do 20 albums right now with the people that's in this room. But look, man, salute to you, man. I just overheard like some of the conversation you had with Cassidy, who to me is one of the. He don't often get that mention, but he's one of the greatest fucking consistent bar masters that I enjoy listening to, right? But same for you, man. Like you have a consistency in this game, and you don't take your foot off the gas. And when I saw you that night at Glasper show, you got on the mic and you was just kind of you was tired as fuck. I think you had just flown in back when we could fly freely, and you got on the mic. You was like, look, I'm just here to promote something. But in the moment, the Emceeing you just started going off the head. And it's consistent. Like, some people can go off the head and it's hit or miss. But there's other people that, when you do it for so long, there's a groove that you'll find. Like, you have it, Common, Rashid, whatever. Y'all have that thing. Talib, like, there's a thing. There's a groove that the real MCs that have this fiber, you have it, and you fall into it like it's blinking your eyes, and I'm just giving you your flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, appreciate that, brother. I'm sure you've heard it before, but I'm telling you, as a fan and as a, someone who has an ear for it. I remember one time, and when you get all those dudes in the same space that can actually do that, like, I had this instance where I did a show for some college, and for some reason they put me last, right? Like, I was supposed to be the. But before me, it's Busta Rhymes, right? Busta Rhymes and Spliff, Common, right? And I want to say it was one more person. And so you got these master performers, masters. I'm just like, I think I was on my second or third album. And I was like, yo, I can't compete with it. I'm just learning how to perform, really. And like, I think Jadakiss. Wow. Right? So just imagine the lineup is like Busta Rhymes, shit, and then Common and you. So by the time I got to perform, I think it was in Rochester. Either Rochester or Buffalo. Everything that you could possibly do as a rapper had already been done through the show. Common freestyled off the top of the dome about the city. So he referenced right. Things. He got the crowd, the color of the shirt you wear. Busta just went up there. Busta, he didn't even have his DJ. Like, he had some other DJ who didn't know how to mix. But he was like, yo, I'm going to show you how to do it when you ain't got all your pieces. He destroyed it. Jada went in there and did Jada rapping bars, etc. And you get to me. And I'm like, there's nothing left for me to do. Like, these dudes have done everything, every trick in the book that you could do with rap, rapping off the top, flipping, doing this with a hype man, Busta doing all type of things with his voice, and Spliff turning them down like he volume or something like that. Right. Yeah, Spliff next to him turning him like he a volume knob. He like, I'm like, y'all took everything from me. So by the time I got on stage, bro, I felt like it was the wackest show I'd ever did, and there was nothing I could do. The crowd seen everything that you could do in hip hop history just from being in the room with all those dudes. It's like, yo. Yeah, you was in the lineup of kings, man. But that's truth be told, and you know this being a martial artist,
the best way to learn to get better is to be in the room with people that can kick your ass, that can really show you hands-on, literally, how to fight and how to be a warrior. If you're fighting people that you could beat, if you're on stage with people that you're above, do you really rise to the occasion? Do you really reach for the bar that's up there? Busta by himself is a performance bar to aspire to be. You know what I mean? His Busta energy
is the greatest performer in the history of hip hop. Like he's hands down the greatest single performer in hip hop. And when you put him and Spliff on the same stage, it's over with. Like there's nobody can top that show. Like you gotta come with pyrotechnics and a screen and missiles and all type of craziness to match what they just do with just them two and a mic and the DJ.
The only two that I would put right behind that is Red and Meth when they're together. Because they do choreography, they crowd surfing, they throwing water in the crowd, and then of course they got bars, hands down. But their show, Busta and Spliff energy, I've never seen someone match that energy consistently for decades.
Yeah.
They still do it.
Yeah. With ease.
Still do it.
Super, super crazy. Yo, I have a question. I do have an actual legit question for you. And I was able to talk to, and it's kind of a sophisticated technical question. Right. And I talked to Ari Spears. About this. Mm-hmm. I talked to another. What's this dude's name? He white dude. He's a white dude. But basically, he uses rap in his set, right?
Right.
He's rapping his set, and he's nice, right?
Right.
And you take somebody like Ari Spears, right, who puts rap in his set, right? And be like, it'll be nice. Like this ain't that bad. And you take somebody like yourself, who also incorporates aspects of it into your set and what you do as a rapper. And I've always had this I guess you call it an idea or theory or just kind of like point where I felt that the closest like fields in the arts are comedy and rap, right? Where we both, in both our fields, we live and die by the punchline, right? It's all set up.
Absolutely.
Set up punchline.
And it's about timing and rhythm.
Timing, rhythm, tone, like all these different things. And then stage performance, mic awareness, crowd participation, all these things. Shout out to Steph Curry.
What up, Steph? What up, Lyric? Kid from Kid and Play, OG.
Oh, shout out to Kid and Play. I got stories with them. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk Kid and Play after this, but I want to answer your question.
I got it, man.
And shout out to Steph Curry too, man. That's one of the most humble assassins from the court, but one of the most humble people on earth. Like, I just want to say that he's just so humble and cool. But
Steph had me shook. He was playing. They came into the city and was playing Bulls, and I give people that space. I'm one of those dudes where they like, man, Lou, just go in there and say hi, and I'm like, nah,
yeah, I'm like you.
Still out here, but they're like, man, you. I'm like, yeah, but that's Will Smith. I'm gonna just hang over here. So I was going to do something for the Bulls. I don't know if I was performing that night or something, but they was playing the Warriors, and Steph was there. And I didn't know at the time that Steph was like a fan, right? And it's like, and people would just say it like, Steph's kind of a fan. He just said it, but I'm like, all right, And he had came to warm up, and they was like, yeah, you should go over there and like, just be in the way, just talk to him, whatever. And I was so shook. I was like, nah, I'm gonna just hang over here. I'm just chill.
He kind of sideswiped me one time too. The one time we met in person, it was actually at a Michael Jordan party in LA. And I'm not a sports guy. Like I don't roll in them circles. So somebody invited me. Like I was a +1. I'm not even gonna front like I was. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the one night I ever saw Kobe in person too. And I saw Steph. He walked in front of me. I was like, yo, man, you dope. And he turns and says, oh, what's up, Affion? And like he pronounced my name right and everything. I'm like, oh, this nigga. Oh, he know. Oh shit! And so I was like, yeah, man, yo. I said, yo, you look mad young, and that was my closing statement. I was sideswiped a little bit. I said, yeah, yo, you look mad young, bro. and he just kind of laughed and kept pushing, but I was like, oh shit, what the fuck did I just say?
Yo, I was like, I'm gonna just step out the way. I don't even know if he seen me. I don't even know if he knew I was in the building. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna step out the way. But yeah, shout out to Steph. And then when he did this thing where he said the cool, I guess somebody had, for Slam Sports or something like that, they gave my album. Right. Like, yo, that was my favorite album. If people know me, they know this is my favorite. I was like, yo, I didn't even know. But shout to Steph, man. Appreciate you, brother. Much
yeah, Steph, we gotta do a comedy sketch, man. But yeah, what was the question? So comedy and Emceeing.
Always was interested in like comedians' points of view coming the other way. You know, like, do you feel that that's like a valid kind of point? Do you think that that's like, you know, like we actually have something called SOSA, it's called Society of Spoken Art, and one of the things that we study introduce MCs to linguistics and communication theory and all this other stuff, in addition to the history of rap. So we've been doing that for like maybe 5 years.
Right.
Super low key, very private. But one of the things that we study is the relationship between rap and jokes, right? And the structure of how a joke is built. Some of kind of the underlying, it gets a little deep and nerdy, the cognitive aspects of it, different relationships between the setup, punchline, stuff like that, different types of jokes, different classes and qualities, and how that relates to what we do as rappers. Right. I actually want to do this series where you get rappers and comedians to kind of just, you know, go back and forth on their like experiences with that, or their kind of the way they do their work and their styles. So now I have you here, a very qualified, world-class comedian, such
Thanks, sir.
And me myself being somewhat of a nice rapper.
Very nice.
What do you think? You ever thought about the relationship? Thoughts, ideas?
Well, I'm cheating because I'm actually both. I was an MC first. I was a b-boy and an MC first, and hip hop taught me how to be a comedian through Def Comedy Jam. Def Comedy Jam was the fusion of all of the worlds. But I was an MC first. I learned to be a comedian late in life. Right?
How late?
Like I said. How late?
Yeah.
What was I? 19, 20? But I was b-boying and MCing. I started b-boying first at 10, and then I started MCing at 12. And I would just go off the head at talent shows because I never knew that rappers wrote their shit. When I heard Run DMC, I just assumed that all that shit was off the head. So me and my brother would just be on the mics and, you know, just saying our little shit. You know what I mean? So I've always been an MC first. And so that's why, like, when Wild 'N Out came around, that was easy for me to be funny and to do, because by the time I had been doing both for a minute. But I grew up on Rakim. I grew up on from the beginning, I grew up on Curtis Blow, Run DMC, and then the trajectory of how that all grew. But by the time I got to Rakim and Kane, I was like, nigga, this is the template. And so my mind thinks there. I think complex rhymes first. Like when I do my top five, whenever everybody's top five is different. When I do my top five MCs, I go off of lyrical ability. The guys that made me rewind the tape back in the day and say, man, I missed that whole phrase because it was so barred up. So for comedy, it's a slowed down version of that because lyrics are so complex. By the time I get on stage and I got to rhythmically hit them jokes, I already know how to spit microphone fiend. So to memorize my jokes about going to the supermarket or about relationships, that's just a slowed down version. Case in point, you being a martial artist, when you train at high level, high intensity with your master, that's like you're on your toes because you're across from your master, and you're trading at the highest level with someone who's teaching you. But by the time a dude walk up to you at the liquor store and he's just not trained in the same skill set, you see everything coming. It's like, oh, okay. I got you. So it's just a slow down. And not to say that comedy isn't complex, because I've been in it for a long time. So I respect the craft. I studied George Carlin. I studied Chris Rock. I studied Richard. I studied Eddie. But the relationship between emceeing and comedy is I feel like emceeing is more complex, because originally when you wrote a song, it was 3 verses, 3 complex verses, where every line you're aiming to say the wildest shit in 3 verses plus a hook in between those verses. So it's just so many more words and so many more schemes in a rap than it is in a joke. Mm. To me, you know what I mean? That's just my opinion on it, or my experience with it. But it's just so many, way more complexities in a rap. Like when Eminem said, "You might see me jogging, you might see me walking, you might see me walking a dead Rottweiler dog with his head chopped off in a park with a spiked collar hollering at him because the son of a bitch won't quit barking, or leaning out of a window with a cocked shotgun, riding up the car in the block and riding up the block in the car that they shot Pac in, looking for Big's killers, dressing ridiculous, blue and red like I don't see what the big deal is. Double barrel 12 gauge bigger than Chris Wallace, pissed off because Biggie and Pac just missed all this. Nigga, there's no comedian that's gonna have that amount of wordplay to go into a joke. A joke is more about energy and relating to truth. How many of us can relate to what this dude is saying? When Bernie Mac says, "This little motherfucker look me up and down like I'm short," we know what that means. Like I'm short. Like he look you when a little kid give me the attitude, he trying to look you up and down like you a short nigga. And you're like, "No, nigga, I'm 6'2" and I'll beat the shit out of you." It wasn't lyrically complex. It was the energy in which he delivered it, and the picture that he painted. So,
if you had to look at or identify, and two things from one that you just said, when you say you studied these dudes, you studied Eddie Murphy, and funny for me, I think it's the reverse. I was a comedian first.
Oh wow!
Because I used to study. Like, and not knowing that you're studying. So for you, it's probably more intentional. But for me, it's like, this is what I watch. So, and coming up, I've seen Eddie Murphy raw, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 times.
Me too.
Right? And I used to watch Sinbad. Used to listen to Ray Stevens. Used to listen to, of course, Dolomite, which is kind of in that comedy kind of space, but really not. But still, that
comedy and rap when you listen to Dolomite.
I used to watch Monty Python,
of course,
Benny Hill,
and Carol Burnett.
It was like, for me, that's what I was finding entertaining, right, and like mind stimulating, and of course, Robin Williams, and Baby's Kids, and the whole
Robin Harris,
Robin Harris. So, but Robin Williams as well too, right? Yeah. The Living Color, all that. So I'm watching that on some, like, you know, it's like, what is this doing to my brain? Kind of a piece. Like, I don't know what this is for yet. I'm probably not going to be a comedian, but I know I like to tell jokes. I like to be humorous. I like to tell stories. But I know I'm not like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But I do. This is the stuff I watch. So to me, it wasn't like actively studying. It was just kind of being in the air. But I used to watch it a lot. Like I used to consume it a lot. Like I probably know Eddie Murphy raw by heart, kind of a situation, right? When it came to me to rap, I actually studied it. Like I went like each component and part and words first, and then metaphors, and then lines, and then styles, and then I'm gonna study this rapper because I want to learn this, and I'm gonna study Ghostface because I want to learn this, and I'm gonna study Eminem because I want to learn this, and even up until today. Constantly just a study, adding to my craft. So when you say you studied the comedians as a comedian, right? Like, what does the process look like? What do you mean by that? Like, what were you looking at?
Legit, when I knew I wanted to be a headliner, right? Because when you start comedy, you start as an opener. You got maybe 10 minutes, and then you start as a middle or feature. You got like 25 minutes, and you go on before the headliner. But when I knew I wanted to go into headline realm, I sat down and I just watched like maybe 5 different stand-up specials Like, and I just chose them at random. I just wanted to see what structurally what it was. I did. I listened to the structure of the song. I was like, oh, he rapped for 16 bars, hook, another 16, hook, 16. Maybe there's a bridge. Like, depending on who it is. If you're listening to Dilla, it's the structure is a little
all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over. He produces and plays like a jazz musician. The way he does his stuff. But structurally, you listen to whatever the structure is. So when it came to stand-up specials, I watched 5 different specials. One of them was Mike Epps in Detroit when he had the silver suit on. That shit was fucking hilarious. But I listened to his first topic, and I was writing it down. I wrote down, okay, this is the topic he's talking about. And then how many subtopics does he have within this topic? How many punchlines does he have per subtopic? And then when he makes his segue or his transition into the next topic, I wrote that down as the next headline. So then I broke it down. I said, okay, each dude has about 25 to 30 main topics. And within that topic, they'll have about, maybe from 2 to sometimes 6 subtopics within that main topic. And that equals an hour. So, depending on how long you go, like Chappelle is more of a storyteller, Cosby more of a storyteller. So some of those topics may be a little more elongated, but that was the structure when I say I study these comedians so that I can learn to be a comedian. That's what I did. I just studied. And then you look at somebody like Earthquake, right? Earthquake is known for, he'll give you the topic and then he'll shoot like 10 punchlines on that topic as only he can. D.L. Hughley is another one. He does the same thing. But yeah, I will study the structure. And of course you got to be funny on top of the structure. And your topics have to be relatable and you got to be able to deliver it. But I just study the structure and fill in.
It actually sounds very technical. Like you said, it's not that, it's more complex. That actually feels, because there's different kinds of rap, right?
For sure.
Very dense, wordplay heavy, multi-syllable, polysyllable, polysemous type situations. Multiple interacting, doing this like that. But then you also got these things where they're reveals. Well, I refer to them as kind of like reveals, long reveals. Where you take something like Eminem's Stand, right?
Yeah.
And I think I talked to Royce about this too. The Stand isn't lyrically complex, right? It is a story, but it has this reveal, like this twist at the end, like this, like a big punchline, right? So the song, one long setup and a punchline, right? As a setup, punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline song. And at the end of the day, the song might be about, shaking, I don't know, selling, whatever. But when you get something like Stan, it's literally one setup, one punchline, right? And the review it comes at the end and he's talking to, he's writing a letter to dude who he was talking to or whatever. So there's levels to kind of the complexity and how you invested on certain complexity here, or what you're trying to do. And this kind of leads to, the second question I want to ask you, which is like,